Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, January 13th, 2022, and the moon is in Gemini. Yes, you get to watch me live. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you got here. Um, Welcome, Seraphin. Nice to see you. So it's a Gemini moon today. So, and we're right on the heels of Mercury retrograde. So definitely take your time doing things if you can. Do whatever you can. Um, so yeah, we have a Gemini moon. Good morning, Firestarter. Nice to see you. So yeah, it is quite the day. Remember, a few days ago we had our moon in Taurus, and Taurus really rules values. So now that the moon is in Gemini, we're making choices based upon our values. And this is really, I think, important because Venus is retrograde. It's going to be retrograde for a bit throughout the rest of January. So when Venus, which rules values, is retrograde, our sense of what we value and our feelings in regard to love, money, relationships, it's more internalized. Like we're able to reflect more. And when you determine what it is that you value, you can then make choices based upon your values. So keep that in mind. Plus, today is National Make Your Dreams Come True Day. Happy National Make Your Dreams Come True Day. It's perfect that we have it actually on a Thursday because Thursday is ruled by Jupiter and it's all about expansion and growth and opportunity. Good morning, Sin. Nice to see you. Good morning, Carrie McKinn. Oh, the chat doesn't always come up. Yes, it is quite the crowd today, John. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you, Common Gave You. Good morning, Right as Rain. Is there a reason why so much has gone wrong the last few days? I can't do anything right. Well, we are in the shadow period of Mercury retrograde. Mercury, we will be going retrograde tomorrow. Venus is retrograde. So, I think that because we're starting 2022 with all these retrogrades, as opposed to like taking off like a bat out of hell or, off like a rocket, here's 2022, new year. Really, it's almost like this easing into the year. We're sort of forced to really hold on to ourselves a little bit and really determine what's going on in the inner world. So external things are going to be a little bit more difficult. That might be why you're having an issue, but things should get better. We also have a full moon on Monday, so that's going to help us release a lot of the energy, a lot of the emotions that you may be experiencing. Good morning, Florida Husky. Nice to see you. Good morning, Florida. Silvery Gray. So, yeah, we have a full moon on Monday, the 17th. So that should help us release all the pent up energy that we've been dealing with. So keep that in mind. You should be fine. But yeah. Oh, you felt crazy things too as of late? Yeah, it's an interesting day. Oh, hi Sonia. It's been a straight up shit show. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Try to relax and take your time. So yeah, with these retrogrades, the best thing that you can do is really go inward, and really sort things out there. So meditating is good. Chanting, if you chantle, maybe even yodel, anything like that. So yeah, it's all everything with the retrograde. It's so much easier to do things internally. So give yourself a break, relax a little bit. I think that there's a inherent pressure with there being the new year, and also the sun is in Capricorn, so we're sort of driven to achieve things. But really, right now, you're going to make your best efforts by returning to stuff that you've done previously or working on what's already on your plate, as opposed to starting something brand new. Oh, your birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday. Oh, I'm really glad. I'm really glad that you had a happy birthday. You're in good company. We did the charts yesterday of whose chart did we do yesterday? Oh, Kirstie Alley. We did Kirstie Alley. You have Kirstie Alley's birthday. Oh, and you don't start the new year to the lunar new year. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's, yeah. Yes, exactly. In all respects, we should really try to respond to things as opposed to react. But Yeah, hang in there. Everything's going to be fine. You're going to feel better as time progresses. Yes, sometimes cancellations are great. That's the cool thing about Mercury retrograde. That if you wind up uh, getting a cancellation, you're like, oh, okay, all of this rooms. That's always nice. Hi, shiny sign up. Nice to see you. Sensing excitement and new joy on its way. I think that you're absolutely right, and I think that'll be particularly true next week when the moon enters Leo after the full moon in Cancer. So that should be really cool. But yeah, today is going to be a really interesting day. It's Make Your Dreams Come True Day, and it's Jupiter's day. So it's all about expansion and growth and opportunity under Jupiter's day. And we have a Gemini moon. So it's about making choices. The big thing is to make choices based upon your values. So with Venus retrograde, it's a great time to, say, okay, well, this is what I really care about. These are my top 5 values. And then look at your to-do list or your schedule and see if that's what you're doing, that you're lining up with your values and making decisions based upon them, because they may have changed. That's the thing that's going on now that's a little bit weird. Our values may have changed. So because an object in motion likes to stay in motion, we could conceivably be going after the same values that we were previously, even though they're no longer relevant. Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Seraphin. So yeah, Gemini keywords for today include communication, chit chat, writing, teaching, learning, neighborhood. You might want to go about in your neighborhood and say hello to people. Short distance travels and choice. So keep that in mind for your Gemini moon. And today, while we're at it, folks, if you don't mind liking this video and subscribing to my channel, that would be amazing. And also, we have 2 birthdays today. We have Patrick Dempsey, also known as, what do they call him? McDreamy, Dr. McDreamy. Is that what they call him? From, I think he was on Grey's Anatomy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Good morning, Stone Enchantress. Nice to see you. Dr. McDreamy. I'm pretty sure that's what they call him. We have his birthday today, as well as Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's extremely talented as well. And we're going to take a quick look at both of their charts and see what's up, why they're so successful and pretty awesome. And we'll celebrate their birthdays. Okay, Grey Anatomy. Hey, Mr. Aragon 131, Grey Anatomy. Okay, it was Grey's Anatomy, and his name was, or his moniker, McDreamy. Dr. McDreamy? Oh, Kid Rock's birthday is the 17th. Okay. That's the 17th. So that's in what? It is going to be, that's going to be Tuesday. So no, Monday. Maybe we'll look at his chart too. You like Kid Rock? Do you like Kid Rock? He's definitely so Capricorn. And so these 2 people. We'll take a look at what their charts look like. Patrick Dempsey, Dr. McDreamy, we actually have his time of birth, which is pretty awesome. No surprise that Venus is the ruler of his chart with a Taurus rising. But what's interesting is that Venus, with the ruler of his chart, is in Aquarius, actually. And Venus was retrograde. So we can make a lot of the Venus retrograde if this guy was born under Venus retrograde. I guess with that Venus retrograde, when you're born with Venus retrograde, your sense of value and what's important to you, and your sense of beauty, your sense of self-worth, it's very, very internalized, and it doesn't always really show. However, that Venus is very close to Mars, and that's really key probably to why he is so dreamy. Venus with Mars is pretty hot. Even if it's in Aquarius, I think that's a little bit of a surprise to me. Aquarius is a little bit cool. I'm kind of surprised too with Venus and Mars and Aquarius for him. I guess, does he have a quirky look to you? Does he look quirky? Usually Aquarius is rather quirky, and I don't know. Maybe he did when he was younger, like with his with the movies in the 80s that he did. But yeah, Venus as well as Mars, both in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarians are typically cool, hyper intellectual, and detached. But when Venus and Mars come together, it makes you pretty hot to trot, like McDreamy is. What's really cool too is he has a tremendous amount of he has a lot of Earth in his chart, and he also has a grand trine, a grand air trine, I believe. Yeah. So, good morning, Linda Michaels. Nice to see you. We're talking about Dr. McDreamy. Dr. McDreamy actually has a grand air trine. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Venus, Neptune, and Mars. Venus is at 12 degrees. Venus, Neptune, and Mars. Oh no, McDreamy doesn't have that. He has Moon, Jupiter, Mars. Moon. Okay, because we know his moon sign. Moon, Jupiter, and Mars. Okay, it's a little bit wide. His grand air trine, but it's still there. So the moon he has in Libra, and his Jupiter is in Gemini, and his Mars is in Aquarius. So that's a little bit wide, but that is a grand air trine, you could say, even though it's a little bit wide. And with that, you have an extra amount of air energy. So when you have a trine in astrology, we say mind the trine, because it's so easy for us to take for granted the energy that we have. When you have a grand trine, it's like so much ease with this intellectual air energy. So he actually is hyper intellectual, which I don't know, it's a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, he has a lot of air in his chart with that. Additionally, yeah, there's a lot of really interesting things. In a lot of respects, with Pluto in his chart over here, next to Uranus, that's pretty intense, and it's in the 5th house. So Pluto and Uranus both have to do with trauma. Good morning, Fran Marie. Nice to see you. Yeah. So when he has a tremendous amount of air energy, if only because of that grand trine in air. So it's really strong in terms of communication, intelligence, intellectualizing things, stuff like that. You're late. Better late than never. Oh, and thank you, Sin. Yeah, communication is important. I agree. I think that's really true. So yeah, he has a lot of interesting stuff going on here. But Pluto and Uranus both pertain to trauma. Pluto is emotional trauma. Uranus is mental trauma. And the two are together. And they're within only 1 degree apart. And they're in Virgo. And it's in the 5th house. So what's interesting is that clearly he was able to transmute that trauma and learn how to play and have fun and really be practical about it. Because obviously he's wildly successful. And that 5th house is about joy. It's about things that you love. It's about pleasure and fun and self-expression. And really, it's Virgo. So it's of service. It's pretty interesting. With this earthiness that he has in this chart, I mean, it's incredibly earthy. With that Taurus rising and his sun in Capricorn, and then Pluto and Uranus both in Virgo. So there's a tremendous amount of practicality. So really, with him having a Taurus rising, he's seeing the world through a practical lens and really looking at ways in which he can be practical and of service. And really, I think with the Aquarius, Mars, and Venus, he was able to really think outside the box in terms of how he can be creative and how he can be of service. So I think that Aquarius energy is why he went into acting, because it's clearly not a traditional role, and it's certainly not practical. I mean, you have 99% chance of not making it, right? I mean, it's incredibly difficult to be in the acting profession. But he saw it as practical, and perhaps really that square between Venus and his rising in Taurus, maybe that pushed him to do something like that, to get into to acting. So yeah. Oh, he also races cars professionally? That's interesting. Well, let's see where that might show up in his chart. Well, that could be that could be the Venus Mars, or Mars in Aquarius. That Mars in Aquarius is making a quincunx with both his Uranus as well as Pluto. So I actually would not be racing cars if I was him. Just saying, that doesn't look good. That's a terrible quincunx. Because Mars would be about speed, right? And then you have this awkward quincunx between these two energies that are rather traumatic. So I don't think he should be racing cars, actually. He is a Taurus rising, so probably pretty grounded. His Pluto, what is interesting, opposes Chiron, and that's an exact aspect with Chiron here opposing his Pluto. And this is really, really tough because you have to please one side, but also please the other. And the Chiron, there's a certain woundedness with letting go. And then with the Pluto, there is a very, very strong need to control and be in charge and to maintain and create order. So that's an interesting thing. But what's cool is that his Chiron, which represents woundedness in Pisces, it's very close to Saturn within 5 degrees. So he's able to actually package up and define his Neptunian essence, or his Piscean essence, his dreamy essence. I mean, that's keyword for Pisces as well as Neptune. So when you have these two together, he's able to actually do something practical, Saturn, with his woundedness, and really be of service with that Pluto and Uranus in the fifth. Uranus also, you could say, opposes that Chiron. That's a 40-year transit, though, so it's not that big of a deal. Uranus also conjuncts Pluto, as we said. And this is usually a power struggle between freedom and control. Again, I think that a lot of actors, they need to act or else they go a little bit bonkers. The moon will trine Jupiter here as well. The moon at 21 degrees Libra and his Jupiter at 22 degrees Gemini. That's really, really nice. That moon trine Jupiter makes you very generous and optimistic, and also can give you a lot of luck through the expression of your emotionality. And I also think the Libra moon is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, that moon trine Jupiter makes him quite optimistic person, so that probably dulls down the Capricorn aspect. Maybe he has a need for speed. Race car driving is sometimes safer than out there on the freeway. Ah, yes, good point. Good point. Yeah. I would say, I don't know. I mean, as a Taurus rising, so I would think that Taurus rising doesn't have a need for speed, but obviously if he races cars, he does. He also has Uranus in his chart at 19 degrees, making a wonderful sextile to his Neptune. So Uranus is a really sort of like the alarm clock. It can give you really an electric on-screen presence. Uranus alone, with Neptune especially, because Neptune is about the movies. It's about make-believe and illusion. So there's a really nice sextile there. And then also, really, you could say it's with Pluto as well. So there's a certain level of power, and it's a very catalyzing energy, that Uranus. And with Neptune, obviously, you put these very, very powerful energies with Neptune, which projects things onto the screen, and it makes him quite charismatic actor. The sun also at 23 degrees Capricorn makes a beautiful sextile to his Neptune as well, and then also makes him really probably great at acting, being in make-believe, stuff like that. that sun does in Capricorn square his moon, which is not easy. The sun square moon is usually like an internal emotional war, and typically it's between emotional commitment and autonomy. So it's interesting, and that really actually that square, it's within his 10th house. It pertains to his career and also his day-to-day life or health. But again, I think that squares make shit happen. So it's very possible that he really used that square quite well. I mean, he also is very, very blessed and lucky with all of this Venus that you have here. Venus being the ruler of his chart. But yeah, he has a really interesting chart here. Neptune also, if we notice, makes a nice trine to Chiron, Neptune at 21 degrees Scorpio and the Chiron at 18 degrees Pisces. So again, there's a beautiful flow of energy between whatever woundedness he has and his ability to not only diffuse it with Neptune, but project it onto the world stage. Let me see. What is this? I like to ponder the big question, like how does Pluto's demotion? It's not. I mean, whoever says it's demoted has never gone through a Pluto return. Yeah. I mean, I still see Pluto as a planet. Definitely, definitely. Open communication is a must. You don't have to agree, but we should try to understand why someone feels the way they do. That is so true, and I think that's going to be even more important this year than ever. Just because Jupiter is in Pisces for a lot of the year, so it really is about allowing yourself to empathize. Interesting stuff. Yeah, but this is McDreamy's chart. That's the big stuff that I wanted to talk about. He also has actually Sun in Capricorn, making a nice trine to Uranus as well as Pluto. So there's a tremendous amount of power available to him with this trine, a nice flow of energy between his ego, his sun, and also these power plant points with Pluto and Uranus. So he's able to really make an impact very easily. Oh, and he's been 20 years married to his wife. Thank you, Sin, for letting me know that. Yeah, well, that Taurus rising makes sense. With Venus and Mars, typically with Venus and Mars, you're talking about what you find attractive about a woman, Venus, and what you find attractive about a man, Mars. So that's really interesting. Oh, yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Jack Dempsey is somebody else. Ups and downs with marriages. Well, I think if you're married to anybody for that long, there's obviously going to be definitely ups and downs. But yeah, this is McDreamy. And then we also have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, excuse me. And her chart, we don't have her time of birth. So she probably is very private person if she didn't give this to us. But we do have a stellium in Capricorn. You can ignore the angles, the rising, because we don't know that. But she definitely has a stellium in Capricorn. That Capricorn sun at 23 degrees actually conjuncts Saturn. So this is like wicked Capricorn, right? Because Capricorn, the ruler of Capricorn is the ruler of Saturn, or Saturn rather is the ruler of Capricorn. So it makes her very, very Capricorn-like and very structured and in control. And this is one of the most challenging charts I think I have seen in a while, actually. But what's interesting is that with all the Capricorns that we're dealing with, especially with Julia in this instance, her sun conjuncts Saturn, and Saturn pertains to timing, and timing is really important in comedy, right? There's a certain rhythm to it, but because Saturn rules time, you'll find a lot of people who are really good at comedy have a strong Saturn, which is so ironic, right? Because Saturn is the planet of discipline, restriction, and responsibility, and comedy is no laughing matter. Comedy is, I think, what does they say about comedy? Yeah, it's really, really tough. My Massachusetts is showing. Oh, is it? Oh, did you see my shirt? Let me show you my shirt. Cambridge, Massachusetts. Funny you would say that. Yeah. My hoodie. So yeah, I don't even have time, but do you have a sense of if the food shortages will be ending soon? Loved ones are struggling a bit here in New Jersey. Well, my philosophy is such that, there are these different, think of it in terms of slots, right? All of these different slots that we have to deal. Oops, sorry, wrong one. All these different like slots that we have, right? So there's all these different realities, right? Even in New Jersey, right? So all these different slots, and one of these slots has to do with not having enough food. Another slot has to do with having an outrageous amount of food. Another slot has like a medium amount of food. Another slot might be worrying about food, but really having enough, right? So for all of us, no matter where it is that you are, it's a matter of tapping into that vibration in which there's plenty. Because I mean, there is plenty. So it's a matter of tapping into that wavelength. So I would really just focus on everything that you do have and all of the things that you are grateful for and blessed to have, and that's going to multiply. So try not to dwell on what is missing or lacking, because whatever we focus on grows. So if I focus on the fact that I don't have this, I'm going to get more of not having this. Wicked smart. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I said that. That's very much something that I could have said. Oh, hi, Marlo. Yes, I think so too. Um, why is Saturn such a fluffy planet density wise? Maybe it's the inverse of Pluto. That is a good question. Um, yeah, it's. I would not call Saturn fluffy, at least energetically, like in terms of what it does. Saturn like weights things down. Anyway, back to Julia. She has a stellium in Capricorn, and that sun is conjunct Saturn, which makes sense why she's so great at comedy. Um, she she has a lot of stuff going on in this chart, but it's a tremendous amount of squares. Her moon, well, again, we don't know for sure. We know it's in Sagittarius most likely, but we don't know what degree. But it looks like her moon could be making a square to the North Node. Moon in Sagittarius squaring the North Node. As well as the South Node, of course. So with that square, it makes it really difficult for her to express her sensitive side, which would make sense because I'm guessing I have not seen Veep. I have seen episodes of Seinfeld, obviously, but with that square, it's difficult for her to express her sensitive, emotional side. So I'm guessing, just from what I've seen of her in Seinfeld, she expresses more of that like tough woman who's definitely not, wearing her heart on her sleeve. Maybe in Veep, she's more emotional, but yeah, this is somebody typically with difficulty expressing emotions. And also, especially I think with the moon squaring the North Node, there's difficulty with women. And if I think back to Seinfeld, in which she was the only female character in the cast, right? Pretty much like the only mainstay, which really probably served her if she has difficulty dealing with women because she's the only woman. I don't know on Veep. I'm sure she has other female characters. Yeah, I think that she did. She was born in 1961. That says, I think. Yeah. Yeah, she looks great too. Moon in her chart most likely also squares Pluto. Again, power struggles at times. The moon also in Sag, if the time is close to it, it does also make a square to Venus at 9 degrees Pisces. So it's difficult with this square to satisfy needs. And again, that difficulty that one might have in their personal life, they are able to really channel very, very effectively in their careers. Venus in this chart at 9 degrees Pisces opposes her North Node, which is conjunct Pluto. Not easy. I mean, there's karmic lessons here around heartbreak, and then the Pluto conjuncting the North Node. There's this tremendous amount of direction here in terms of her power. She's very, very directed. The North Node is like your guiding light. It like tells you, okay, go here, do this. And when the North Node is conjunct Pluto, it's almost like this life or death thing. Like I can't help it. I have to do this. And what sign is it in? It is in Virgo. Just like I think McDreamy. So it's interesting. There are parallels here. But with the North Node conjuncting Pluto in Virgo, there's a very strong sense of destiny. Like I must do this. And it's very much tied to service. So there is a very, very strong sense of service that she has. It's really cool. Anyway, I don't remember her spastic dance. I'm going to have to see it. Many smart women, ooh, this is an interesting concept. Many smart women do have problems with other women. I would not have known that. That's really interesting. But she's pretty cool. Anything else I wanted to mention in regard to her? I mean, she also has Venus trining Neptune, which is nice. So her Venus is at 9 degrees Pisces, and it makes a beautiful trine with her Neptune. And this is why she puts a really great image out on screen. It's really, really nice. And her Jupiter, well, Jupiter conjuncts Saturn, but that's pretty common for that year. So we also have in her chart Mars. Mars is at 3 degrees Cancer, which is interesting. And that is with her Oh, I see. Okay. Mars. Okay. Yeah. Her Mars at 3 degrees Cancer also makes a really nice trine with her Venus. So again, there's a certain flow there. So McDreamy also had this aspect in his chart. When there's a flow between Venus and Mars, the person's really hot, 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 hot. I don't remember her dance. I'm gonna have to see it. I'm gonna have to see that dance. So yeah, I am gonna have to roll, but I hope you guys had fun. Let's talk really quickly about what's going on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Faye Dunaway's birthday on Venus's day. That's irony. It's also Andy Rooney's birthday. So we can look at one of their charts tomorrow. Just let me know who you want to look at. But just so you know what's up for tomorrow, waxing moon still. Again, this is the last weekend before we have our full moon in Cancer on Monday. Friday is Venus's day, so be sure to spread as much love as possible, and we'll have another Gemini moon. Oh, you want to look at Andy? We can look at Andy. He is like the most Capricorn. I don't know. Faye Dunaway's pretty Capricorn too, but Andy Rooney is certainly extremely Capricorn. Oh, you're the best. Thank you. My pleasure. XOXO to you. So your Gemini moon tomorrow, it's good for correspondences, multitasking, running errands, short trips, socializing, writing, editing, creativity, lots of really fun stuff like that. Yeah, so we'll talk about his chart tomorrow as well. Oh, and also tomorrow, yeah, Mercury will be going retrograde technically tomorrow. So we're starting to feel it as well. We'll talk more about Mercury retrograde and what is good for that. But thank you all for joining me today and looking at McDreamy's chart a little bit, and so as well as Julia Louis Dreyfus's chart. If you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. And if you want to find out what's up with your chart, not just your personality, but what transits are affecting you right now, Back to the Future. Exactly right as rain. Mercury retrograde is going to bring us back to the future. But yeah, if you're looking to find out what's going on in your chart, how that new moon in Capricorn affected it, or how the full moon in Cancer will affect it, etc., what you need to know for 2022, we can look at that. We can also run your cards to find out what is up. Just check out my website, psychicsun.com, and we will hook you up with a reading. I'm glad you had fun again, everyone. I hope to see you tomorrow and have a very happy Thursday. And remember, it's Make Your Dreams Come True today. Or Make Your Dreams Come True Day. So do whatever you can to push the needle closer in that direction. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.